our films, the Socially Relevant Film Festival. Hello, everyone. We are live, and this is the second of our Meet the Filmmakers sessions and of the Socially Relevant Film Festival, New York, SRFF 2022. Wow, this is our 9th annual edition. Unbelievable how far we have come. We have been able to screen over 550 films from 39 countries. And this year we have a selection of 64 films that come to you from various countries. We have a fantastic program. Well, it won't be fantastic if you don't show up. So we want you to be there with us. We want you to enjoy with us the fruit of our labor that took us months and months of preparation, and we put it together for you. So this is what is happening. We have a selection of films that go through various different topics, such as, let me give you a filler a little bit and tell you what they are. We have films about climate change. We have about dance culture and music, disability seen in a positive light. We have empowering women and girls, endangered species, fundamentalism, genocide and survival. We have gun violence, which of course we don't approve. It's the Anti-Gun Violence Film Festival. Health matters. We have incarceration and freedom, Indigenous people and their rights. Very, very important, this film, this topic. We have films on Lebanon and the recent terrible events that have been happening there. We have LGBTQ stories and rights, lockdown, because we all know what that means. And we have migration and immigration stories, race, prejudice, discrimination, sex violence and sex trafficking, Tibet, social change. We have spirituality, urbanization, modernization. Voices of Canada is one of the highlights and spotlights of this year's festival. And we have youth and children films. So there you go. As you see, we have a full spectrum of work that is happening. So as I said, this is the 9th edition of the Socially Relevant Film Festival, which is exclusively based on films that deal with social issues, and we show them in a positive light. What do we mean by that? What I mean by positive light is that we don't profess to have the answer to all the problems that are all over the world these days, but we portray them. We tell the stories of these people who are in the middle of problems, and we also want to end with a positive note, because yes, there are horrible problems in the world. Yes, we know we are not in the best of times, but if we only dwell on the negative, then we should all go and jump off of a cliff or throw ourselves in the ocean or something. But the positive little hope that remains makes us get up and do something about it. And that's what we do this festival for. And I must announce that this is a festival which I started 10 years ago to commemorate a terrible act of violence that happened with me and my family, where 2 very dear members of my family, namely my cousin and my uncle, my father's brother and niece, were stabbed to death in a violent attack. And I was also getting sick and tired of seeing violence all over the screens, all over the billboards, all over the posters. You don't find movie posters nowadays, or rarely, on which there isn't a gun, or there isn't a Kalashnikov, or there isn't some explosion, or some horrible images of people who are scared, who are in violent situations. So Unfortunately, a lot of films or film producers think that violence sells, so they portray this violence on the films. And that is not something we advocate. That is something, in fact, we completely run away from and try to show stories that tell human stories, human interest stories, and deal with social issues. So I formed this festival in commemoration of them in a meaningful way, and also to celebrate storytelling without violence. And violence could be a portrayed image, it could be a poster that is portraying violence, and it could also be a violent form of storytelling. By that, I mean very strong, quick cuts, big music, explosions, and things that make you come up from a movie theater with a headache instead of having enjoyed a good story. So, having made this introduction, I want to bring on the filmmakers that we have today in our studio with us. And here they are. By magic, they appear by the magic of technology, which was about to abandon us last minute, but we're happy to say that it came through. We're missing one filmmaker, but maybe they will join us later. Maybe they didn't get the message. So I don't know what's happening. If not, we will bring them on at a future time if we have the space. So let me go around the screen like this in a clockwise way. I'm seeing Norbert next to me, Norbert Anoudarham, who is a French musician and filmmaker. And he made a film called Chez eux. And there is an English title for it, which I don't have it right now. We left it chez eux because I think it's an expression that everybody knows. It's the musicians are receiving us in their homes. So that's basically what the chez eux is for. I will ask the fellow people that are on the screen, when you are not talking, to please put yourself on mute, because we're having a lot of background noise, and we'd love to hear what's going on in your city, but we don't want it to interfere with our broadcast. So, Norbert, can you say a couple of, first we will do very short introductions, just say who you are and what your film is about, and then we will go deeper into the conversation.
Okay.
We'll start with Norbert.
But I don't speak English very well, and I think it's better I speak French and you translate.
You're doing quite well. I think you should speak English, and if you get stuck, je vais te dire.
I try.
Voilà, c'est l'idée.
Okay. I am in the south of France now, and the film Chez eux, it's a film about a little instrument who like an philharmonica accordion.
Yeah.
And it's about the musician in France improvising jazz, and we are going to their home, and every musician say a little about comment il fait, how he do his job. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm very clear.
Non, c'est très clair. Je vais juste compléter.
Okay.
Voilà. What Norbert is saying, that of course you understood most of it, but having seen the film, it's not only about the musicians and how they compose their music and how they live and where they live and all that, but also that is the idea that really attracted us to the film, about their lives and what it means today to be a musician, to be creating songs, composing on instruments that some of them are not very common and very well known, like he was describing. Okay, let's go to Alessandra. And in the meantime, I am happy to say that I think Annette is here. So I will bring Annette on, and we can continue introduction. But please, Annette, we need you to be only on one device. If you have your phone on as well, please shut that because it makes a lot of static. Oh, okay. All right, that's better. So it's either the phone or the okay. Why can't I see? Yeah, there you are. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So let's go to Alessandra next.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Alessandra. I'm from Italy. And Borders is the story of a humanitarian mission started in Italy to go in Bosnia and Herzegovina to help refugees in the city of Villach. We filmed the volunteers just for a day and a half, that help refugees that trying to cross the borders in Croatia to arrive in Europe, but they can't do this for police violence or for the cold situation of the weather. Yeah,
Yes.
come si dice? Yes. And it started like a little adventure, and then we are happy, me and all the team, we are happy to have tell a little story that no one want to tell, because there are big powers that don't want to make people knows this situation, like they are closest country, so it's a little weird. We imagine the poor people in the other places of the world, but they are close to us, so this is the story.
Yeah. So next, let's go to Karl. We'll come back, Alessandra, and we'll talk more in detail to everybody, the same thing. So let's go to Karl and have him introduce himself and his film.
Hi, everybody. First, I'm really happy to see all the other filmmakers here. Great to see you.
Yeah, part of the fun about these talks is that everybody gets to meet everybody else. In fact, maybe better than the in-person things, because in the in-person, everybody's running around doing 10,000 things.
Yeah.
And you really don't get to have a face-to-face talk with a filmmaker. Yeah.
And I love how international we are.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Look, we have France, Italy, we have Germany, and we have Brooklyn.
Yeah. I'm actually in upstate New York right now, just side of Hudson. So I'm in the country right now. So cool. My name is Karl Nussbaum. My film is called Ghost Dance for America, 1890. This is an experimental film about the birth of America, the violent birth of America, based on the enslavement of Africans and the destruction of Native Americans. It was originally a piece that's an installation piece that you would stand inside of a giant zoetrope and the film would move around you. What else can I tell you?
No, the approach in the film was interesting because it's history told from a different point of view. We'll come to that. We'll come into detail. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So Annette, we are so happy to have you with us. I was worried because all of these films are favorites, obviously, because the way, maybe this is a good point for me to say how selection happens. I'm not the god here. I'm not the one who decides every film who comes in and who goes out. But there is a selection committee. Some of the selection committee members are film festival team members, and some of them are completely unrelated outside people that we bring on because we want to have everybody's opinion. The film viewer is not necessarily a film specialist or a film critic or a film scholar, you know. We want this film festival to be for the audience, for the public that is coming. So we select people from all walks of life, and they watch the films, like close to 500 submissions we get. They watch the films, and at the beginning there is 3 columns: yes, no, maybe, yes, no, maybe. So on every film they go yes, no, maybe. So of course the no's have 3 reasons. It's not socially relevant. It's socially relevant, but the production values are terrible. Number 3, there is guns and violence and explosion, and the filmmaker didn't even read what this festival is about, and they just went ahead and submitted it. So those 3 go directly to the poubelle. Sorry, I know you spent a lot of time and money on that, but it's not this festival. Go to the horror film festival or go to another film festival. Then we go into the yeses and the maybes. First, we go to the yeses and look at the films and decide what the films are telling us. And it's based from the films and what the filmmakers are telling us that we pick our selection. It's not like we come from a preconceived idea, oh, let's this year talk about this and that and that and that. No, we look at the films, because when we see a lot of films that are talking about indigenous people, that are talking about immigration, that are talking about domestic violence or sex trafficking or things, we know that these issues are important, which means a lot of people are concerned about these issues. So we go like that. And then the difficult part comes. The difficult part is, how do we exclude something? How do we do that? Because we love these films and we start developing an attachment to these films. And then we are not unlimited means. We don't have 15 screens over 1 month or something like that. So we just have to draw the line somewhere, unfortunately. Sad, but true.
Difficult.
Then we haven't forgotten the maybes yet. The maybes come in handy when we are putting themes together. Well, let's say we are putting a collection of shorts together that deal with a particular theme. And then we find that it's a little short. Maybe if we had a 10-minute film that is in the same theme, where do we go? To the maybe folder. And we find that one film that we can put, and the puzzle is completed. So I felt like I need to give this explanation because it's not random and it takes a lot of time and planning and energy. And some of the films that we put in the cinema, others were online. And it's like, again, very, very tough decisions. But hopefully everybody will come out with something from the festival. Okay, let's go to Annette. And her film is on a topic which she will tell you about.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Nora. And I'm sorry that I dropped in a little bit late. We have a storm in Germany. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So we had really hard technical problems, but now I'm here and I'm very excited about being here, about being invited to this special festival. Thanks, Nora, that you created it, because I think that's what we need in these days, a festival of relevant films. And this morning I had a wonderful dream, and I dreamt that you made kind of an orchestra of all these films together to have a wonderful music in the world. This was a very nice dream this morning.
Wow.
And about my film has a title, Let's Do This Differently, which is kind of a program, but which means let's have a look about family in these days. What is family in these days? And I'm also very excited because I worked 12 years on this film. It has not been shown anywhere. It was so much work, 80 hours of a documentary about a family of 2 lesbian mothers and their 3 sons. That was the starting point, 2009. And then happened what happened. I will not tell you everything.
No,
You have to
don't.
watch
It's
the
a nice
film.
surprise. Yeah.
Because in the end, there's a universe of family, and more I won't tell you how that happens, what happens. And it's about, you know, when I started this film, this were only these 2 lesbian mothers, and I never wanted to make a special LGBTQ film because all this time I grew older too, and I'm not LGBTQ, but I was observing. The question I had was, how does this family will come through the waves of life in a society that has so far no families like this before? So let's give them a chance to see. And
Yes,
then
of
the
course.
kids, yes, and
We'll
more
talk
I can
more.
tell.
Yeah.
Have a look.
So,
And so
yeah,
for
this
us,
is really cool.
very exciting to come to New York because my last sentence, because when I was 19, I spent half a year in New York, and I had 3 children, and I was an au pair girl. And so it's my first time coming back after this long period of time. I'm so excited, Nora. It's great.
That is cool. We'd love to
Great.
see you in person. That, like this is like just an introduction. So basically, let's delve now that we have made the introduction and we know the film titles of everyone. I used to prepare banners, but then it gives me a lot of things to manipulate and do, and then things are moving back and forth. So everybody's film title is in their names. If you watch, you see Alessandra Borders, Norbert Chez eux. Go stands for, okay, we can't see the whole thing, but when I bring Norbert alone on the screen, you can see it. And same thing with Annette, it's let's do this differently. So anyway, we also have some comments from viewers. People are saying nice things about us. And eventually, whoever is watching, if you want to ask questions, the filmmakers are ready to answer you. So my first question, usually I like to start with this question, and then we'll again go clockwise, take turns. What gave you the idea of this film? How did you come up with this idea? Maybe we'll start with Norbert.
Okay, my idea is what is the life of the musician, of French musician today, and also what's the difficulties to do this job, because we have many kind of difficulties, social kind, economic, and now we have this COVID.
Yeah.
I want to montrer, show,
yeah.
So that's problematic in all the territory of French, in Britain, in Auvergne, in south of France, in north, and and the different guy of this film, it's my friend. I'm going to this friend and say, how do you do today? What's the problem? What's problem you have to do your job? And it's a friends film.
Yeah.
And also friends with Pierre Bève and François Vagnon. We make this film with me, and it's an artisanal film.
Yes, which most of the films on this selection are. A lot of times, let me touch on another subject, which filmmakers who are watching this will resonate. Every day we get an email from a filmmaker that says, can you please give us a waiver? We've spent our last pennies. We don't have any more money left to submit to your festival. And I say, unfortunately, we cannot, for two reasons. First of all, it's not fair for all the other filmmakers who have paid the money and entered the festival. Second of all, I wish we could give waivers to everyone, not just one filmmaker or two filmmakers. And if I give waivers to everyone, then we won't have a festival. Because unlike some countries, like France, for example, where artistic initiatives or projects or programs are subsidized by the state, the situation of that does not exist in the United States. We do get grants for which we are grateful. We have sponsors and partners, but the contribution from those sources is not enough to set up a big festival like we do in a place like New York. So unfortunately, my answer to these filmmakers is sorry, but we offer them, depending on the case, a big discount, as the case might be. So it's very true. All the films are made with sweat, blood, sweat, and tears, or elbow grease, as we say. And we are really grateful. And on this note, I want to salute all our filmmakers, because I keep saying all the time, without filmmakers, you don't have a film festival. There are three very important ingredients to have a film festival. Number one is the filmmakers. Number two is the festival team. This is not something that one person can pull together out of a hat. It's something that takes a lot of planning, a lot of work, and a lot of support. And of course, the third important leg of the stool is the sponsors and partners who come on board and make it possible for us to do a festival that everybody can be part of and be happy with. So let's go to Alessandra. How did you get this idea?
Well, everything is started by the mission that started in my city, in the little city where I live. The association that organized this mission asked for something young, someone young that can follow the mission and show what can happen. And I talked with my my boyfriend who works with me, and a friend who is a Foley and sound operator. And we decided to live and to see what will be happen. We have no idea what we can no, who are the person we will meet, and we had a lot of surprise because we met incredible person with incredible stories, but I don't want to spoiler the documentary.
Yes, thank you very much. It's funny because we're talking about the films, but we cannot give away so much. And audience, I am having the festival website go through the screen so that you can go there and watch some of the trailers. We have been, in the past, we used to show trailers during these talks, but it becomes very complicated. We prefer to concentrate on the filmmakers, and all the trailers of all the films we're talking about are on YouTube, on our channel. So you can go there and have a taste of what the film is about. And then we are having early bird tickets right now, only $7 instead of $15 when you come to the cinema. The online section, where we'll allow you to watch a lot of films, will be, it's in the process of going online, live. Once all the films are up on the platform, it will go live. And when it does, you will be able to purchase single tickets or an all-access pass. So, Karl,
yes.
Your idea, how did it come about?
I I found out about something called the ghost dance, which is an idea. Native Americans, the Paiute tribe, there was a shaman who had a vision and believed that if his tribe would do a specific dance, that they could be in communication with their ancestors, that the dead would come back to stand with them and to fight against the white man and expel the white man and bring peace and prosperity to the groups of Native Americans there. So when I heard this story, I found this very fascinating, the idea that the dead would come back to fight along with the living. I also was in Taos, New Mexico, where there's the Rio Grande Gorge, and I found out that that was where the Mexican-American War started, and this was the fight in which the Americans, 1/3 of America was Mexico once, and so the Americans fought the Mexicans and took it. And so I was standing right there, and I was thinking about the division between the two worlds, and the two ideas. And then finally, I was incredibly horrified at the 2016 presidential election in America, and felt like this was revealing the incredible racism in our country that no one really wanted to deal with in a way. And that because we had not dealt with the birth of our country based on the destruction of Native Americans, as well as the enslavement of Africans, this was now bubbling up into our politics and the cultural climate in America. And so I put all these things kind of together and found a way to talk about that.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting because there is a point that needs to be dealt with. And as long as you don't deal with that, the whole history is based on lies, shall we say. So that basically that's what it's coming
also,
to.
we can't move past it. If we don't look at something, we don't talk about it or sort of digest it, discuss it, it'll continue to be in our background instead of moving through it.
Exactly. It's like the human life. It's in our lives, there might be a point of conflict, personal conflict in your own life. And as long as you haven't resolved that, as long as you haven't confronted that moment or trauma or whatever it is, you can't seem to be able to get past it and go on with your life.
Yeah.
And the same applies for countries and nations. So hopefully soon. We keep hoping. So, Annette, without telling the story, how are you going to tell the story without telling the story? But you kind of already said to us how it came about, that you were not intending to make a movie about LGBTQ, but you're talking about this one lesbian couple and how it developed. So can we maybe say that a sperm bank is involved in the story?
Yes, we can say that it is part of the story, I would say.
Yes.
And I'm so excited about this international movies, to see all of your movies. That's wonderful. I would say I have a personal story to that story, because it's absolutely my first film as a documentary, because usually I do features. And in this case, it was a very personal opening, I would say. I started my career as a feature film writer. And my first story I wrote was about two water police girls that absolutely want to have a child. I don't know where this idea came from, or it came very personally from a friend of mine who was very much excited about my boyfriend. And I had the fantasy to say, what would happen if she would ask me if it would be possible to have children with my boyfriend? And I was asking her if she could just imagine to have kids with her girlfriend. And she was looking at me and saying, like, Annette, what are you talking about? I'm lesbian. I will not have kids. And I was like, okay, maybe just a fantasy. And then I was separating of this boyfriend. And years later, she had two girls with my former boyfriend. I was like, wow, this is interesting. And that was 2000 something. And I was asking her if I could make a documentary about it. And then she was thinking about it. And then she said, no. And then I said, okay, am I really involved? Is it a really subject I want to tell the world about? And I said, yes. And so I started to look for it, and I started my documentary, and I looked out for families that might be interesting. And to know more, you have to watch the film.
That is a great way. You put it in a very nice way. And it's funny because we're dealing with a lot of stories here, whether it's on the narrative. It happens that this collection on this particular show, we have, we'll bring Annette back. I think I manipulated something and I kicked her out. Okay, there you go. I was saying that in this collection, we're dealing with mostly documentaries. Although, Karl, your film has been submitted as a narrative, right?
I don't really remember.
No, we looked at it, but I think it's a documentary, basically. So, but whether it's a documentary, a film, or it's a narrative, it always at the beginning of the genesis of the whole idea and the story, there is a personal journey involved. Something happens to you in person that you want to relay, you want to talk about and share with the rest of the world. So let me come to the next question. Let me first look and see if somebody has put a comment. Yes, somebody has asked a question. Emma is asking, did you have difficulties to find families for your documentary? So I guess this is for Annette, this question.
I would say when I started 2009, there were some families, but not so many. So I really had to, I put an announce and I was meeting some. But there were also like the family in my film, they kind of thought it's important to make this film. They want to show that they can raise children as good as others or even better. And so they really had a mission. They wanted to come to do that. And I mean, they really allowed me so personal things like to come with a camera to the birth of the youngest son.
Wow.
And I was really like, oh my God, that was an adventure.
Yeah. And also that means that a certain amount of trust was established between the subjects and you. Because that's another important point for documentary filmmakers, as we all know. If you cannot establish that trust with your subjects, it's very difficult, because who wants to have a camera in their faces and on top of it, to act real? Like, that's why sometimes I understand as an actor myself, why narrative filmmakers always prefer, well, not always, prefer to go and find non-actors, like real people, for their narrative films. Of course, we actors hate that, because we go, look, I went to school, I did my training, I got all this, I'm sacrificing so much in my life because I dedicated myself to become an actor, and you're going and picking somebody from the street who happens to, so what's the point there? But I also understand, as actors, we are trained. The moment you took us in front of the camera, we start acting. The other persona is turned on, and we cannot just be ourselves, So documentaries are very important in that case. And I personally, as an actor and as the founder of this festival, have learned so much. Not only have learned from all the documentaries that I've been watching, what problems there are in the world, how people are dealing with these problems and all that, I could also see the difference between the natural, real person on camera and the actor on camera. And one of the criteria, which I failed to mention earlier when we are choosing our films, when it comes especially to the narrative films, it's the acting. The topic might be perfect, right on with the socially relevant issue. The production values might be great, but then the actors If they're acting, then I go, I'm not sure. Because especially that you are showing all this together with the documentaries, and the documentary people are so natural and so themselves, it becomes even more pronounced. So my 2 cents worth as an actor. Okay, so next question. Let's see if anybody is asking questions. We come back to that later. What is the idea for you? How important it is to be part of the socially relevant film festival, and what do you expect to get out of this experience of being screened, whether online or in person? It's not important really. Norbert.
Okay. The most important for me, it's about improvising. Improvising, you understand that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Improvising with language or with music, it's a social activity. And when you improvise, you are in relationship with the other, and it's a good school for tolerance.
Yeah.
Tolerance, and it's a good school of life. This activity of improvising, because you inventer, comment inventer?
Invent. You invent.
You invent a part of local life, and when you do that, we see immediately the different problems that you have to do that or that, and to have this relationship with the economic problem, social problem, politic problem, and it's une activité majeure.
Yeah, major activity.
A major activity, and also we have do this film to show the different musician in France play violin, harp, and to show also the difficulty, I think, about Théo Girard in the film make contrabass, and he say it's very difficult for me. Je suis obligé de travailler avec 10, 11, 12 groupes.
Voila. He works with the person who plays the bass. Contrabass is the bass in the group, Theo, and he says that it's very difficult for me because I work with 10 or 12 different groups. And Norbert was emphasizing the importance of improvisation, but improvisation not only in music, in theater, in life even, because the basis of improvisation is not only to express yourself, but also to listen to the other one.
Yes, is that
especially in music? If you're not listening, you cannot have a dialogue. And in life as well, as actors, the same thing. Listen to your partner. What are they saying? And then react to that. In life as well, in society, why do we have all these wars and conflicts and situations? Because people in reality, they're not listening to each other. Everybody,
voilà. La parole, c'est la fin de la guerre.
Oui, ils pensent que ce que j'ai à dire, c'est le plus important. Everybody's thinking what I have to say is the most important, and they are not listening to what the other is saying.
So that's improvising.
Yeah. With this festival, that's part of what we try to do, so that, you know, people start listening to each other by knowing a little bit more about each other. So Alessandra, being with the festival, what does it mean for you?
Well, For me, personally, it's special because it's my first film festival. So I'm really happy to be here and to know all of you. And for me, this discover this film festival was really interesting because I was searching for a festival that could understand the story that we want to tell. And now, when I look at all the works, I see the number of trailers that you share on YouTube, and I say it's beautiful when you see a lot of people, a lot of artists that want to pay attention to a lot of problem, a lot of less fortunate people all over the world. Sometimes you feel alone in the world when you want to help someone. I don't know if it happens to you.
Yeah, it's
But
very important because yes, you come out of your own self-centered situation and you look at other people, the same
yes,
as listening to other people.
yes, and it's beautiful. Like everyone can do something. There are some people that help like volunteers or like doctors, but there are also other people like us that can help like sharing this beautiful message of collaborating, peace, and everything that is shared by the festival.
So, Carl, tell us how do you hear about the festival? You're a local in a way. I mean, yeah, you're not here right now, but
Right.
still in the US and in New York. So, tell us a little bit about that.
So I suppose, like everybody, I found the festival through Film Freeway. I was interested in being a festival that wanted to talk about serious things. And I think as a filmmaker, the important relationship for me is with the audience, is to screen the film and have that discussion afterwards to stimulate people to think. And also I love being with other filmmakers to talk about filmmaking, find out what others are thinking. And I don't feel like I have a very good community of filmmakers around me. So meeting other filmmakers is important, particularly international filmmakers, just to connect and communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the reason before we make the selection, we write to all the filmmakers and put them in BCC with all the emails because, people don't necessarily want to share their emails with everybody. But once the selection is made and you are kind of brought together into the same program as fellow filmmakers, like in a family, we put it all out there and for everyone to feel free to already start networking and being in touch with each other. So, and your film is screening, both of your films, all three actually, Chez Eux, Borders, and Ghost Dance, all three are screening online. But that doesn't mean anything. If you're around, you're at the festival, please do come and participate and be part of it. So it's not because we don't have unlimited screens, so some of them have to go online, some of them have to go on the cinema. And Annette, you already told us, but if you want to add something to that.
I'm just very excited about listening to the others and about, connecting in the world of filmmaking in New York with all those wonderful people. And of course, it's very exciting because I worked 12 years on that film. And it's the first time it's been shown in a screen in the front of an audience. I'm very excited about
it. We are honored to be the first people to
yeah, that's great.
To pull the cork out of the bottle. So now I have one last question. We have about 11 minutes left, but that's okay. We can all take a little bit of time and talk to us about future projects. What is next on the agenda for you? What do you want to, whether it's a film, it doesn't have to be a film. You can say, okay, this is it. I'm done. I only want to do live events, or I don't know, whatever. I want to take a boat and sail the Atlantic. So Norbert, what would you like to do?
In English is very difficult for me, but
Ça va, tu peux dire en français, je vais traduire.
I have une pièce de théâtre.
Ouais, I have a play, yes.
A play, and le sujet de cette pièce c'est la notion de frontière.
Ah, très intéressante.
Voilà.
Is preparing a stage production, and the idea behind that play is the idea of borders. Right
Voilà.
there, you're sitting next to Alessandra.
Voilà. Et en fait, le pointillé qui représente la frontière.
Yes, and the dots, like when you look on a map, there is a dot, 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 that kind of the dotted line that represents a border.
Ce pointillé, c'est lui qui va se mettre en rébellion.
Ah, very interesting. It's the dotted line that rebels. It's not the one side or the other, but the dotted line that says basta, basta così.
Il va sauter sur les personnages.
Wow, he jumps at the characters.
Par exemple, il va sauter sur le cou d'un personnage.
Wow, he jumps to the throat of one of the characters.
Et le personnage va perdre sa tête.
Va quoi?
Il va perdre sa tête.
Wow, characters lose their head, yeah.
Voilà. Et en fait, c'est l'histoire des hommes, mais aussi l'histoire des hommes qui, de manière artificielle, cherchent à se séparer.
It's the story of humans or people that with artificial means, they try to separate themselves from each other.
Mais les frontières sont pas d'accord.
But the dotted line on the border is not in agreement with that.
C'est le projet que je commence en mars.
Wow, it's a fantastic project. Can I be part of it? Can I audition for you? Well, the incorrigible actress who always wants to be included in a project. Mais vraiment, c'est un projet super archi intéressant et j'aimerais en entendre plus.
D'accord, eh ben, je vais t'inviter à la première à Paris.
C'est quand la première?
Au mois de novembre.
The premiere, it opens in November.
Alors,
yes. I come also.
Le travail commence en...
Je vous invite.
C'est une création, alors. C'est une création. Et ça se passe la création
à Arras, dans le nord de la France.
Dans le sud.
Dans le nord de la France.
In the north of France, in the city called Arras, the creation work starts next month and it opens in November. Well, we wish you all the best, and we will follow this closely. Maybe there is a documentary filmmaker somewhere there who wants to record the process. Ta-da!
Thank you.
Okay, Alessandra, your next project.
Well, the 1st of March, I will go to Kenya to follow the works of an association some friends and my family created to help people to develop, I don't know how to say, when we work to grow plants, agriculture.
Yes, like a camp, like try to revive the agricultural situation,
yes. And for the poor families. And I don't know if we product a documentary of Mazao, this association, but this is one of the projects. And now I'm working on the screenplay of a drama short film with my boyfriend, and I really hope it will go well.
Well, that's really cool. That wish you good luck with that. And it's sustainability. We also had a section last year about environment, climate change, and sustainability. So this film, if you ever do it, please come back. And we have a question in the meantime from Barbara Mead, who's saying, looking forward to this important festival that addresses intelligent subjects. Okay, it's not a question, but it's a comment. Thank you very much, Barbara. And Karl, what's your next project?
I have several projects I'm working on. The film here, Ghost Dance for America, is the first of a trilogy. I've done the second part. It's called Phantasmagoria, 1945, which talks about the connection between Goebbels and Trump. And the third part of this trilogy is called The Weather Inside of Us, 2020. And this is about the idea that some people in America think that the climate crisis is God's punishment for gay marriage. And that the evangelicals, some evangelicals in America believe that Trump was going to start the Third World War and that the world would explode and Jesus would come back for the second thing. So I am very fearful that we are looking at another civil war in America. So all these things are going to come together in a kind of a collage, and that's one of the projects. And then I'm also have been asked to go to China to make a film about celadon, which is a very famous glaze that the UNESCO has given an award to as a natural. I don't know how to say it. It's a national treasure. Let's say that. And a couple other smaller films.
They are all very interesting subjects. So, Annette, what is your next project?
Well, I have several ones. I will come back to my life as a feature director and direct actors, which I really, really love. And so I have a plan about a feature film, and I have a plan about a series. It's about how we want to live in the future. What is the plan? After the time after Corona, the world changed. It's not the same like before. And how we want to live. What's the plan for the future, more or less?
Do you notice that there is a commonality of the subjects that each one of you wants to say, talk about, like the borders, like helping people for a better life in the future, like Karl's project of putting all this craziness that happens and the ideas that are hampering the progress of civilization together, and how do we want to live from now on? What do we do? Have we learned any lessons, or are we going to repeat the same mistakes over and over again? Who knows? Who knows?
Important question.
So we have Yes, we have 2 more minutes left. So I open whoever wants to jump in and say something, sing a song, or do a tap dance number, or whatever you feel like doing. So, any takers of that offer?
Nobody dares to say a word. I'm so much looking forward to meet you guys all in person. It's so wonderful, Norma. It's going to be a great festival. I mean, how did you come to the idea to plan this festival?
Well, okay, since you weren't here when I made the little introduction, but let me say again, because I can't say it enough times, I was getting tired of all the violence around us, because violence everywhere. I don't like violent movies, but I have a choice. I decide not to go see violent films. But when I'm standing at a bus and a billboard is staring at me with a gun on it, or a Kalashnikov, or a dagger with blood dripping, and this is violence that attacks me on a daily basis, visual violence that attacks me. And also, not only that, filmmaking, especially Hollywood movies and some of the commercial titles that we stay away from, actually depend on a lot of explosions, a lot of loud noises, a lot of abrupt cuts and cut. It's like as though they are dazzling you or something. and instead of just quietly and calmly tell you a human interest story. So this was one thing that was the driving force. And then, as I spoke in the beginning of this thing, when you go back and watch it, you see, I don't want to repeat it for the sake of our audience, the personal violence that I kind of wanted to deal with. Then there is somebody here, our very dear Michael, who is asking a question. Very interesting and very important work. Thank you for sharing them with the festival. Michael is a festival member of the team, and he's on the board. And he's one of the hardest working members that's always present everywhere. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you.
And is thanking us all in person. So we've come to the end. Yes, Norbert?
Tu peux traduire, est-ce que vous pouvez traduire au sujet de la violence? La violence, la Terre est très violente parce qu'elle a choisi deux oppositions, un pôle nord et un pôle sud.
Eh oui. That's very important. Norbert is making a point. He says the Earth is based on violence because it has two opposing poles, the North Pole and the South Pole.
Mais c'est parce qu'elle a ces deux oppositions nord-sud qu'elle tourne.
Exactement. Because it has these two opposing poles that she's able to turn around. It's true. And also conflict, as we know, in drama is very important. But I'm not talking about the degree of conflict or violence or these things that are important to drive drama on or to tell a story. We're talking about gratuitous violence.
Of course.
Voilà. Okay, on that note, we're 2 minutes after the time, but that's fine. And we salute our viewing public. And this is going to be as a recording on YouTube. So please feel free to share it with your friends and let everybody know that the festival is coming around the corner, like in about 4 weeks. In just 1 day less of 4 weeks, we are opening at the Lincoln Center with our opening night on the 16th of March. And then we go to Cinema Village, 18, 19, 20th of March in Cinema Village in New York. And then from the 20th to the 27th, most of the films are going to be available online. Thank you all very much. And
thank you, Nora.
Thank you. See you in New York.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Great to meet you.
Projects. Bye.
Stay well.
Thank
Stay
you.
well.
To go. Wait.
Bye.
I'll